school, but within a town center and not on that amount of acreage. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have a new initiative. It's called Building Sensible Communities. When you came in today, you got a flyer about it in your packet. This shares a lot of the similar goals that CGMC is working on, but it's different in its focus. We're going to hear some specifics from Lynn and from Jim, but I would say that, big picture what this is going to do is when we build all this new stuff I talked about, all our new planning frameworks and our policy framework moving forward has to be informed by changing demographics, which you heard Michael talk about and everyone else talk about today, and how those changing demographics are shifting consumer preferences over time. It has to be informed by our concern about rising and erratic energy prices. And finally, it has to be transportation investments and land use policies that complement and don't contradict our state's and our nation's global warming reduction goals. And so with that, it's going to be about getting the state's own house in order and its own agencies through MnDOT, planning for a multimodal system, the Met Council really, accommodating and aligning all of the MCAG goals you heard about in their existing comp planning process, school siting requirements, and finally looking at our existing environmental review process and having that to incorporate energy use and global warming goals. But I'll hear Jim and Lynn will get into the details.
Thank you. One of the things that the Building Sensible Communities initiative is seeking to do, as John said, is realign some of the state agency objectives so that they're more in sync with the now adopted Minnesota greenhouse gas reduction targets. A state transportation goal that incorporates an objective to reduce vehicle miles driven would be one example. We heard a number of speakers talk about school siting, and that would be a second one. We're looking forward to this conversation as the legislative session moves forward. We do intend to speak with most of you who are here, who are part of the legislative effort. We welcome collaborators, we welcome partners, and we're looking forward to the discussion continuing.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Urkel with the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, and I direct MCEA's Land Use and Transportation Program. I served on the the Transportation Land Use Technical Working Group for the Governor's Climate Change Advisory Group, so I experienced the gentle but very determined facilitation that Will provided to us. One of the things that we did in looking around at other states that were walking through their processes for climate change plans was we noticed that the smart growth strategies that played out tended to be either the first or second best strategy in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions from land use and transportation sectors. As Will pointed out, in Minnesota it calculated out as the third best. There's an argument, an inside baseball argument over vehicle miles traveled and all that. I won't go into that. But the point really is to move those forward, and we're looking at how to make those kinds of goals play out. In a lot of other places, they don't have a very good planning process in place, so they have to go out and create it. We in the Twin Cities have a very mature planning process. It's the Metropolitan Land Planning Act. It's been around for a long time, and so we have something that we can already start moving forward with. The problem is a matter of synchronicity, which will earn me big points with big word points with my daughter. But the problem is the planning process is every 10 years, as John pointed out. We're just at the end of. We're just finishing up the end of a once every 10-year planning process. Yet, and that won't kick in again until 2018, when the Next Gen Energy Act requirements starts having milestones in 2015. That's compounded by the fact that if you listen to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we need to be acting in the next 5 years in order to actually get to the kinds of protections that we need. So there's going to be a need to have to match up the next gen requirements and the Metropolitan Land Planning Act, how that plays out, how it gives communities more opportunities to get the kinds of developments that will meet the demands that are coming is going to be the real key, but that's one of the issues that we're looking at.
And let me just end by saying that we were lucky enough to be added as one of the Minnesota Environmental Partnership's MEP's priority issues this year. And you can learn more about this initiative and their two others Thursday night from 6 to 8:30 at the Science Museum at their annual legislative event. Thank you.
And with that, we conclude our event. Thank our sponsors, thanks to our speakers, and thank you for coming.